So I'm going to try to get us started, and I'm going to start off by saying that I could not be happier with this turnout. This is really incredible. I'm almost in tears over the fact, and what that means is we have an incredible amount of passion, and that's the first thing you need to make real change and to really move forward at the university. I will tell you that I was stunned is probably the word when I sent out my email to ask people for responses. The thoughtfulness, the volume of responses, and by the way, those of you who wrote me, I tried to get back to as many of you as I could. I'm still 9 or so days behind. I'm working on it. Especially, there were so many very incredibly thoughtful responses with so many great ideas that the response, I didn't want to give a 5-second response to something that was that thoughtful. But the response I got to the email, and obviously the response we have here today, means that we've got the first ingredient to really making the University of Hawaii at Manoa even greater than it is today. The responses, and the reason I wanted to have this forum, is to start having more campus conversation. I don't feel we do enough communication on campus, and that we hear the thoughts of our various groups on campus. And I really want to make this a culture where we meet routinely to talk about big issues on campus in open fora like this. So I see this as the first of many of these kind of meetings where we can talk about various issues. And I will tell you that from the responses that I received by email to my letter, that there were 5 or 6 main issues that came up over and over again by many of you. And my hope is that going forward, we will have meetings like this on each of those issues so that we can move forward together in a plan that we all feel we're part of to try to solve some of these issues. I should point out, we are, and I hope no one minds this from privacy reasons, we are being videotaped. There's 2 reasons I think it's important. It was suggested by several of you that we do videotape these. One, you can hold me accountable. That's important. No, that's a very important part. What I say up here, I will be held accountable for. And I think that's important. And my team of vice chancellors and deans will be held accountable for what I say up here. That's very important. So when we meet next time, we have the videotape of that. The other is there's a lot of people can't be here just because there's a lot of classes and things going on. And there's people who can't be here. We're going to put this up on the web so that people who aren't here have an opportunity to see the conversation that we have. So what I'm hoping is that we'll have a discussion here, but before we leave today, we're going to come up with some next steps. I don't expect us to solve all the campus problems here today, but when we leave, everybody feels they had a little bit of an opportunity to see what's going on, to speak and have their say, but also a feeling that we're going to do something. We're going to do something about these problems that we have. We have problems on this campus, and we need to work towards solutions. Lots of seats, folks. So I know it's a little tough getting in, but come on in and join the conversation. But the fact that we'll move forward together, and to that extent too, I also, in anticipation of us trying to come up with solutions, I know many of you have volunteered in your emails to be part of the solution and want to serve on task forces and committees and things. If you're interested in these main topic areas, I would really encourage you we're going to have a sign-up sheet in the back that'll let you sign up for your area of interest that you want to work on, the solution. And please identify yourself as whether you're a student, an alum, a faculty member, a staff member, and so on. But I'll tell you that I received overwhelming response of emails with incredibly great suggestions. I've read them. They break down into a number of different areas. And I'm going to give you a rough prioritization area of the responses that I got. Overarching were the idea of our facilities and campus safety. Those two were the two biggest. Facilities, by the way, was both the physical appearance of the campus, some safety issues of the campus, and classroom. So we can look up at the ceiling and see the air ducts and things like that, stains on the rug. How our facilities are maintained and the appearance of the campus. By far the biggest issue. Security. Many female students in particular don't feel safe coming here at night and then walking back to their parking areas. So how can we work on that issue together and draw on best practices from other universities? Another big issue was service. And I'll maybe wrap that in also with red tape. And it's hard to get certain things done. I had many heart-wrenching emails where a student needed to get something done, let's say, and couldn't find their way through the problem to get an answer. And so how can we design together a front line of the university, a face of the university, to our most important customers, in particular our students, but I'll say also our faculty who need various services, so that we have a front line that's responsive and that owns the problem when it's brought to them. Yeah, problem with the iPad. It blinks out if you don't touch the screen. And the last, where I'll say one of the incredible things was how many people were excited and willing to participate and really gung-ho about sustainability. Overwhelming numbers of people who are interested in sustainability and helping us move forward on that. So those were the big five, if you will, were facilities, campus safety, service/red tape, sustainability. I forgot one that's actually very dear to my heart, and maybe a reason I left it last, is academic rigor. There were lots of comments from faculty, from students, some faculty who felt they had to dumb down their courses. There were students who didn't. There you go. Students who felt they weren't challenged enough. And many of you have probably heard me say that I really believe that, and I'll spend 2 minutes on this, and I'm going to shut up and listen, because it's more important for me to use these than anything else. I feel that the most important role of the university is to instill passion in our students. Because I know if a student becomes passionate about what they're doing, they're going to be successful, but more importantly, they're going to be happy. So instilling passion in our student is our prime goal. The other is doing research that has great impact, both nationally but also locally. And I also want us to be a Hawaiian place of learning. Those are my 3 goals, and they overlap so well with the feedback I got. I'd like to start the conversation around those 5 areas that I talked about. And the goal, we are so pressed for time, so I'm going to ask everyone to keep their comments fairly short. But I'm here to listen mostly, and we are taking notes. We have this videotaped. I want actions to come out of this, and I want to be held accountable. So we're going to have more of these on each of those issues going forward, and I invite all of you to come, and we're going to move the ball forward by having people tasked to improve the situation and report out to you. That's how I envision this going. At my last university, we had a lot of campus fora around the big issues, and we talked routinely, and I want to have 4 or 5 of these meetings a year. So I can easily envision having another one of these sometimes around the Thanksgiving where we recap where we're going on each of these, and we'll have someone report out on how we're doing on sustainability, how are we doing on campus safety, how are we doing on facilities, how are we doing on academic rigor. So that's my hope, and with that, let me shut up and ask any of you who wish to speak and voice your thoughts to go forward. Oh, yes. No. I'd like to open with an oldie, of course, and Keali'i Gora is here, who has so kindly agreed to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chancellor. School Council is an advisory council to the University of Hawaii Manoa Chancellor on the defined programs, services, and initiatives. And actually, we're honored to be here today. I'm going to offer a chant of aloha and also a chant to honor this place called Manoa.
Do you want to stand?
No, you don't have to stand. You can stay. Thank you very much. O nauna I tahalame talehua, e halelehua no ianat noi. O ta'u no ia e ano ine li ane o io tatimai. A iti mai no oto iti puno me te aloha. Aloha e, aloha e, aloha e. Venina manoa I ka lehua aloha. Aloha ua tuahine. Mai luahine a I waikiki. Kia I te kahaukani. Kanino na leo e o kamaina, aina aloha e. Manoa. Here's to a great discussion and a successful dialogue.
Thank you.
Hello. Hey. Hi, Mr.
Hi.
Apple.
Hi.
First, I'd like to thank you for pluralizing forum correctly. Sorry, I took Latin. So, my biggest concern, I think, is construction on campus. I've been here since 2008, and the academics that I've experienced has either stayed the same or even gone down, maybe. But tuition and construction have both gone up. And that makes me wonder, it makes me wonder where my money is going to. And I was wondering what you can say about that.
Yeah. And by the way, I'm pretty new here, so I will sometimes speak with less than authoritative voice on certain things about how much construction has been going on. We always do have to think, and if you're 2008 and you're graduating, you think, well, I'm spending my money, but it's for somebody else, and that will happen. I'm actually delighted that we're renovating some of the buildings we are for future generations, and maybe it doesn't, and I admit it doesn't benefit you, but for the next generation of students that come to Manoa, it will make a difference. And I will tell you, I think the facilities are in drastic need of a lot of that kind of work. So I understand your feeling. What I'll say as an alum, when you're an alum now, in my view, all of you are alum when you're here. But as you move on, we want to make you proud and make your degree worth more because we're a great university. And we will be a great university because we attract great talent. And if our buildings are in bad shape, I mean, I'm absolutely delighted that we have a new student center coming online, and we're renovating Gartley and Edmondson so that when you walk into a classroom, the faculty, we have unbelievably great faculty here, but they can go into a classroom and do the kinds of interactive learning that they would like to do, and we don't have kind of the old style sage on the stage, seats and things. We can renovate classrooms so we can do interactive things. So I'm actually delighted we have the construction. I know it's a pain, and you walk around and we've got, you know, the green stuff and the construction equipment coming in and the tracks they leave in the mud, and it's not a, you know, and the cranes and all that, it's not the greatest ambiance. But the ambiance in the classroom, I think, is really important, and it's an area we need to really improve. And so, yeah, for you, you won't maybe get the benefit unless you come back for graduate school. Just, right here, we have. Oh.
My question has to deal with campus safety. And last Thursday, when I went into my sociology class, my professor informed the entire class that there was some sort of hostage situation on the lower campus involving a guy holding his girlfriend at gunpoint. I want to know if this was true, and if so, why was I not notified by the campus that this happened?
Well, in terms of specifics, I'll probably defer to our head of campus security, Wayne Ogino, but let me talk about that, because I think this is an important issue, and then I'll let Wayne respond to that in particular. Campus safety is something that came up over and over again, and there are many different ways of improving campus safety, including having video cameras on campus. By the way, I want a separate forum on this issue. Video cameras have been shown to really reduce crime because people know they're being watched. On the other hand, if you're a privacy, you know, there are people that don't like having video cameras because of privacy issues. We can think about increased security and increased patrol and those kind of things. All universities are under the Clery Act, so that we have to notify the campus through various messages immediately when we know about an incident. So we do have to think about whether we're compliant with that in all ways if you were not notified in time. There is the effort, whenever there's a situation of campus safety that's by the federal law of the Clery Act, that we try to notify you by email, phone, and instant message and other methods. So, and I can't speak to that. I don't know exactly what happened in your case, but campus safety in general, the lighting, as we build the student center on campus, and particularly for female students, I don't want them just to be safe. I want them to know they'll be safe, so that if they're a graduate student, they don't feel bad about working in the lab till midnight and then walking to their car, which might be parked down on South Campus. We need to not only have safety, we have to have the appearance, in addition, of complete safety on campus. So it's a huge issue. I'm going to try to form a working group around that issue, probably chaired by Mr. Ogino, who's our campus security head. But I'd like your participation too, and I'd like students who are interested in this, staff who are interested in this, faculty, because it's the whole campus that's involved in this, to sign up, and let's get a working group together, look at best practices everywhere, and see what we can incorporate here to make this a safer campus. We've had a lot of incidents lately, and we need to make this campus safe so that people feel they can do their work here at any time of day.
Thank you for the opportunity to respond. That hostage situation was something that the police notified us about. It occurred outside of Varsity Gate, so actually it was off campus. There are several police cars that converged on a residence that was outside of Varsity Gate. The gate guard called security to let us know about that. When we got there, we really couldn't get into the scene because it was a hostage situation. Apparently a boyfriend and girlfriend had a domestic, and we heard that he was holding his girlfriend hostage. It was an armed situation. That's why the police would not allow anyone to enter the scene. It took a while to get information about it. We were going to put out an alert, but within an hour, we were notified that the person had given himself up. The police had taken him into custody, and the scene was cleared. I understand that there were some students that were by 7-Eleven trying to get back to campus, but the police kept everybody out of that zone, including security. And that's the reason why we couldn't give you more information about what is happening.
Yeah, and I'd like to just make a comment, and then we have a Nish, if you could bring the microphone down here, this young lady. We have a lot of issues to discuss about campus security. Many universities have armed campus police who are well trained in having firearms or tasers. I'll tell you that the advantage of that is instead of having, for example, armed Honolulu Police Department people on campus, is that armed campus police can treat misdemeanors in a different way, more like an educational opportunity. You know, many young folks are kind of exploring, finding their way. Sometimes they do things maybe they shouldn't, but if we have campus police who are capable of taking care of the situation, they might be able to turn it into an educational experience instead of an arrest. I mean, quite frankly, if we have Honolulu Police Department on campus, when students do maybe unwise things, they're going to end up getting arrested and thrown in jail, and I'd rather see us have a... So we need to have conversation about, do we want our campus security to be armed law enforcement officers who are also trained in an educational manner? Or do we want an HPD site here on campus, or none of the above, some other? We need to have those conversations, and I'd like to engage the community in those. So, Nish, you? Oh, you got it down.
Honopono Kako. Thank you very much for beginning the dialogue. I had an interest in, you spoke about the next generation, in securing national flagship designation for UH Manoa. We currently have national flagship designation for our Korean department, a Korean language. I'd also like it Arabic, Chinese, Urdu, having those become UH Manoa designated flagship programs. We have probably one of the largest heritage language speaking population in the United States, with Korean, Japanese, Mandarin, Cantonese, but I'd like UH somehow to be a language citadel, because right now, in terms of language, populations are going to Los Angeles and Chicago to recruit persons and totally bypassing Manoa and what we have to offer. So is there any way that we can expand, with the Korea flagship being the model, expand our flagship programs to include Mandarin, Arabic, and Urdu, which are part of the critical language shortage that the United States is facing currently?
And I think we have a lot of opportunities. I'm actually meeting with the chairs of the languages programs on Friday, and I think that's one of the agenda items. And I certainly think, we actually do offer more languages than any other university in the U.S. No, I understand. I do want us, whenever we do something, to be the best. I think setting our bar high, that relates back to academic rigor too, that we should always be the best. When we do something, we should, I don't want to go and say, hey, let's start a program and let's be mediocre. We should try to be the best that we can. So I agree. Let's work to make that happen. Yes?
Hello, Chancellor Apple. My name is Laura Ruby, and I'm a member of the Landscape Advisory Committee. We're directly reportable to the interim director of the Buildings Grounds Management Office. And I would like to say that we have been meeting for over 2 years on our landscape master plan, and we're about ready to give it to you. It's incredibly important that it get funded. Because if you probably know, anybody's first visit to the campus, 80 to 90% of all impressions are made through the
Yes.
landscape.
Yes.
And we are working really to make a larger, cohesive campus that makes it much more friendly for people to be on, and also for future donors to contribute to the campus. And just 2 other quick points. That we continue work towards the Master of Landscape Architecture program, and also we would like to request a comprehensive irrigation plan that incorporates water and second-use water for the campus, and will include savings.
Thank you for those comments, and thank you for your work. I'm very excited about seeing your campus master plan. I can't tell you how important I believe it is to have a beautiful campus. I don't think we can underestimate that. Sometimes people think, oh, that's just cosmetics. And the same goes with classrooms. Oh, that's just cosmetic. It sets a tone. People care. Walk on the Stanford campus. You walk on the Stanford campus, you want to do great things. You just feel, wow, I'm in this place, I want to do great things. We need to get that here. We can be a beautiful campus. We need to attract more of our own students here who grow up here and want to come to UH because they see this as a great place. We need to change our image locally, and we can do that by having a more beautiful campus. And I think it's absolutely important. And of course, when you talk about some of the other issues, it overlaps so much with sustainability. How do we use our water? How do we use our wastewater? How do we handle solid waste and those kind of things? All incredibly important things for us to do. I'm looking forward very much to that campus landscape. I need to point this out too. I've had so many comments since I came here, originally from faculty who went into rooms in this building, in this very building, who told me how incredibly hard it is to teach when there's a huge stain on the rug. You can smell the mold and the mildew. The vents look like this, and you can see that the air we're breathing is not as good as it should be. And it's dim, and the furniture is from the 1950s. We don't have ink wells anymore, but we're just past that. How hard it is to teach in that environment and to really motivate people. So I have, through some great work of Kathy Cutshaw and Reed Dosenbrook, we've got 24 classrooms scheduled for a special upgrade, and we're also going to do some painting, like emergency painting. This building, again, is the poster child. Now, we're hoping to get money to revamp this, but if you walk outside and look at the paint on this very building, or I met with the faculty in social work the other day, and I was walking out of the building and went the wrong way. I still don't quite know where I am on campus. And I walked into the middle, and I turned back around, and a faculty member was going to help me get out. And I turned around, and I looked at the building, and it was stunning. There's weeds, rust, peeled paint, and so on. It's not Stanford. It's not the Stanford-type campus. We need to work on those. I actually think those cosmetic things send a message that's very important to help us recruit both students, it helps us recruit faculty, it helps us recruit donors to come back and have a beautiful campus. I think that's an important issue, and we need to beautify the campus. Campus beauty is more important than we usually give it credit for, I think. Yes.
Aloha, Chancellor Apple. I'm a PhD student here, and our university's library was recently ranked in the top worst university libraries in the country. And first of all, I want to thank you for opening Hamilton Library on the weekends. Thank you for doing that. As a PhD student, I often have trouble getting my hands on a paper, a research paper that I want. And yes, you can go and get a PDF for it, and you can email the author and get it. But these days, we all have 20 things to do, and it's really easy to drop a ball. So it would be nice if we could have that convenience. And I was wondering if there were any initiatives to improve our libraries.
I'm glad to say, first of all, let me say that a lot of people contributed to having our library open on Saturday. A lot of people, and it was a team effort. But the other big effort in that is that we are putting a new infusion of money into library materials. We need more electronic journals, we need more conference proceedings and books. We're the only research university in 3,000 miles. We have to be strong enough that we have an incredible research operation here. We're doing incredible work in all different areas, and we need a research library that supports it. We got great people. Our people in the library are incredible, but they've been working on scraps. And so we're making a very concerted effort to put more money into acquisitions, in addition to other upgrades and in the library. Great question, and we're really on that. I come here with a little bit of a bias. I really think that the library of a university is kind of like the living room of a university. It also sets a tone. I'll be honest, I couldn't believe our library wasn't open on Saturdays. And I understand budget cuts and everything. If somebody told me you can only have your library open one day, it would be Saturday. But it also sets a tone about how serious we are. And we have serious people here doing great work and great students, and we need to support them. And so I was delighted we were able to work that, and there's a lot of Greg Geary and Reed and Kathy and others who really should take the credit for doing something that's harder than you think to do. Fantastic work that they did to open that, and the investments we're making, you will see. You will find conference proceedings you didn't before. You'll see electronic journals we didn't have before. Now, having said that, we have a long-term problem. There are publishers, like the poster child for this is Elsevier, which ramps their prices up 10% a year. Their journals are just, in my own area, there was a journal that, the Journal of Magnetic Resonance now, the cost of that is so outrageous that most universities can't afford to keep it anymore. It's an Elsevier journal. And it's the prime journal in my field. And, so when you're somewhere on the mainland and you're in a metro area, you can think about interlibrary loan, and you can think about consortia and all that. It's hard for us to do here. So that's just one of the, we have many advantages of being here, but one of the things we've got to realize is we're the only game in town. And you don't really want to wait when you're working on what area are you in, by the way? Yeah. You can't afford to wait, a week to get a paper. By then you've forgotten about what you're trying to write a paper, and you know there's an article out there that's critical to your work, and your advisor's telling you, I want that paper by Tuesday. And you're up against other research groups. You need that information. So we're really working on that. We have to.
Next question. Microphone. That's microphone over here.
My only worry is it won't come up on the videotape.
Well, then I'll talk through this. Just to give you an idea, my name's Aaron Fleury, and I'm the person emailing you about
Yes,
fields.
I know your name.
But that's not what I'm here for. Just a quick comment about the libraries. You may want to consider opening Hamilton 24/7 during finals week as well as Sinclair. Sinclair Library turns into Sinclair Theater.
Let me just interrupt. Let's make that happen, folks. Absolutely. And that was the practice at my lab, 24/7 during finals week. I absolutely agree, and I hope we can. So, my guys, let's make that happen.
Great.
I absolutely agree with you.
Because Sinclair Library is open 24/7 during every day. But finals week, it becomes loud theater and too many people there, but maybe we consider it. Anyways, my question's about academic rigor. I'm third year marine biology student here, and a huge problem that the biology department is having is graduating, well, a lot of problems is graduating in 4 years. I think one thing this school should have a goal of is graduating 4 or less, not 4 or less. It's quite possible, but the problem we have is, like many departments, classes are in a chain order, and if you fail one, you can get thrown behind a year, just easy like that. So I think the school needs to offer classes more than once a year, especially during the summer. I know other colleges on the mainland, they don't offer just intro classes, they offer higher level classes during the summer. Yep. That's not offered here at all, it's just intro. It makes it extremely hard to graduate in 4 years. It also makes, just financially, it makes it even harder on the students who, in this economic problem right now, puts us in more debt. For instance, I just found out I have to stay another semester for one class to graduate. So that's sort of a pain to pay 10 to 15K just for one class to graduate. But if there are any plans to increase class availability during the year or during the summer, I think that should be implemented pretty soon because, I mean, if you want to increase academic rigor, you need to offer more classes or offer more times for classes.
I like a lot of what you suggested there. I'll tell you that I was a champion at my last university of having we had a winter session that was 5 weeks. So if a student had trouble I'm a chemist, if a student had trouble in Chem 1, they could do a redo in that 5-week winter session and still stay with their class and go into Chem 2 with greater chance of success. All the data shows if you get a B or C, actually, if you get a C in Chem 1, you're almost certainly going to flunk Chem 2. And so having the redo, and we ask students who got a C or worse to retake it, even though C's passing, hey, you're going to be in trouble in Chem 2. Summer session, we have this incredible physical plant that sits dormant during the summer. We should use it, in my opinion, my humble opinion, we should use it for more educational opportunities for students. Now, my financial people, and I see our budget director back there, and she's going to have a heart attack when I say this, but we should also think about if a student pays their tuition for a year, they're entitled to 30 credits. And that means, because a lot of our students are in tough financial status, and it's hard for them to take 15 in the fall, 15 in the spring. So how about they take 12, 12, and 6 for the same price? You know, we got to think outside of the box some way to get students to. We have a very, 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 no way to sugarcoat this. Our 4-year graduation rates are horrible. They're not bad, they're horrible. They should be 3 times what they are. Fact. Should be 3 times what they are. Now, we have unusual circumstances. So we need to think about what they are and how we can assuage some of those. So I think thinking more about utilizing summer as a way. I will say again, and I'll direct you to my website and look at the Board of Regents presentation I gave. A lot of people, particularly Reed Dozenbrook and Francisco Hernandez, have been working on some of these issues. If you look at the number of gateway course sections, because there's certain bottlenecks that occur naturally in the flow of students, they've really worked to open those up. And the number of, we used to have in registrations in the fall, there were 20,000 unsuccessful registrations. That meant a student trying to get a section and came back, sorry, you can't get in there. Well, you know what? We have 20,000 students. That means every student is having, on average, there's an average of 1 per student. That's unbelievable. That number last fall, this fall, was 3,000. So, and that's partly due to the STAR registration system, which Manoa championed and is now being used campus-wide, but it's also because we said, okay, here's a bottleneck. And people, back in 2006, I think it was Student Life issued a survey of students who didn't finish successfully and left. And they found some of these problems, and they've been working on those. So we're getting better. And I think we'll see the results of that going forward, but we still have a lot of work to do. And I think there's tremendous opportunities in summers. I'll tell you, I'd love to have change is difficult. In fact, well, change is difficult, but thinking about a winter session, a short winter session, would be interesting too, because the other thing that we did in winter session at my last university is it allowed people to do study away very readily. It upped study away by a factor of 10. We had 48% of our students do study away at my last university who graduated. Many of them did multiple. Now, there was, well, I won't go into the micros of that, but I think there are other things we can do to increase student success here by making use of the campus for 12 months of the year. And many of them will be many of our faculty will be interested in taking advantage of those opportunities too, I think. Yes?
Hey, I'm late for class, but you know what? I'm very thankful. I'm very thankful because you've given us an opportunity that I personally waited for 4 years for.
Thank you.
Just not being heard, and this is my senior year. I'm going to be out if you're gone in Utah, and so. But I want to leave this school in as good a condition as I can, and I'm sure everybody feels the same way. What I was thinking was, we've heard a lot of issues. Sun Tzu in The Art of War had looked at practicality, and he had said that one attacks when his strength is abundant, and he defends when it is insufficient. And what I see is an analogy between attacking and development and this construction, and defending in terms of sustainability, which is one of our major topics. And I feel that this development hasn't, and this construction hasn't taken into consideration that the 2007 December recession and the financial and budget constraints that the University of Hawaii, as well as many other institutions around America, are having right now. I feel like we've rushed into it, and we are continuing to dish out these big contracts for further construction and further development. And I hate to say it, but things like landscaping. I feel like our money has been used and splurged and could go towards, my next point, could go towards something more practical, because like Sun Tzu had looked at objective-based thinking, thinking with the objective in mind. And I feel like the objectives of us university students, like me as a senior, isn't really graduation, it's getting a job after graduation, which is the big crisis in our society right now, is that the highly educated are being left out of the job market because it's being dominated by baby boomers and blue-collar workers who jumped on those jobs in retail market, for example. So what I was going to propose was that we look into allocating more funds for more internships. And when I say internships, I'm saying not just $5,000 a year, go do your 30 hours a week. I'm saying we create jobs within the university system for students, good jobs, 5-digit income jobs where you can sustain a living. And I mean like 10,000 to 20,000. I'm not saying big teacher salaries. Another thing that I feel we should be doing is look at the Japanese model from the 80s, and we develop relationships between the university and some of the big employers out there. So those are like the schools and the Department of Education and some of these big corporations. We develop informal contracts with them so that so that our business graduates, our business majors, can get connections into those corporations. Our English majors can get connections into the Department of Education. So when they get off of college, they're not left with the paper, they're left with an informal guarantee of their employment.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I'll kind of work backwards from the end of what you're saying. So I mentioned earlier that I really think we have to be a place where students find their passion. I have seen so many students transformed by internships and co-ops My own personal story was I was transformed by research opportunity. I got to do research in my area, and it just made me incredibly excited about my area and changed my whole life. But I also see that happening with internships and co-ops. I've had students go off to do an internship or a co-op in the chemical industry and come back completely, boy, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I think it's incredibly important we have those opportunities and reach out to our local community. That comes about by partnership. And that means we need to establish those partnerships. And we have people doing that, but we need to grow that, and we need to strengthen that. We are in a process of growing our undergraduate research opportunities. I think we need to do more in internships and co-ops, absolutely. Now, in terms of the art of war and your point there, which is, first of all, it's probably important, I think this is right, that if you've read The Art of War in English, it's because Roger Ames on our own faculty. I think that's right. I'm pretty sure that Roger Ames is responsible for that. And I've read it also. It's a tiny book, very thin, but it's packed with a lot of great things. But I do think that you need to move forward. And one of my favorite expressions in coming here was, and I saw it in our football team's jersey, Imua. We got to keep moving forward while we try to strengthen our rear guard and our flank. I don't think we can do one without the other, because if we spend all our time trying to fill the potholes and making things work and don't think about the future, we're just going to find that 5 years from now we're behind again. So I think we need to do both. We always have to marshal our resources in the best way, but I think it's moving forward, but also kind of shoring up our flank, if I were to use the Sun Tzu model. Thank you.
Hi. Oh, sorry. Hi, I'm a graduate student in the social work program. I'm wondering what the university's plan is to do something about formalizing a sexual assault policy for students on campus. I think it's great we're talking about safety and talking about putting more lights in, but the statistic is that about 75% of assaults are committed by someone that the victim knows, and that's what's happening in our dorms and the incidents we've heard about lately. Nationwide, universities are being sued for Title IX violations because they are not able to create a safe environment for students. And my understanding is that there is no institutional funding for training of staff, no funding for responses. So I'm just wondering what the plan is here, because it's, in my opinion, it's unacceptable.
Okay, and there are probably some people here who know more about specifically what we do, but let me just state as Chancellor, I'm very committed to making that happen, and I'd ask you in particular to sign up in the back for making sure that you're part of the committee to make sure that we get a good resolution there. I don't know exactly. I do know, I've seen some incidents here on campus, and it troubles me, and I want to make sure we have the best. Now, we have some really good people in that area who do incredibly good work, but I don't know if our policies are yet best practices. And in all of these issues, whether it's campus safety and all, I want us to look at what others do, understanding we're a unique environment, but look at what others do and make sure we're at state of the art. So thank you.
Hi. I wrote to you regarding the food availability on campus and also sustainability. And
Yes.
I guess I feel that in terms of sustainability, we're bringing in a lot of kids out of high school, and we're their first experience of the real world. And I believe that we can shape probably a new generation of people trying to take care of our planet and our islands. And we're at a time where it's so vital to be taking these things seriously, and I don't see that on campus, especially walking by stacks of Pizza Hut outside. It's not encouraging a healthy diet for our students, our faculty. A lot of people would argue that it's a responsibility of each person, but a lot of the times we're a species that takes what's provided for us. And I just want to know what the campus is doing regarding kind of education about recycling, and I talked a little bit about composting. I think here on the island, when I came here from Washington, I was probably pretty spoiled in Seattle because we're very pro-recycling, really thinking through our actions. And I just don't see that. I don't see compost. I see a lot of waste. I see a lot of recyclables going into the garbage. And I've personally worked at a lot of different companies to reduce the amount of waste that comes out just by simple acts. And yeah, so I'm just curious, and I understand that food provided on campus. There's a lot of contracts and red tape involved with that, but I want to see local co-ops. I want to see, emphasis on eating better, encouraging better learning and eating better hand in hand. So.
And I remember your email very well. And by the way, I hope you will sign up.
Yes.
We do have incredible passion about, there's so many aspects of sustainability, and of course, it's so much more crucial here than any other place. It's much more crucial here than it is in Seattle, quite frankly. We're 2,700 miles from anywhere. We import most of our energy in the form of oil, and we burn it. And sea level rise, we're contributing it to that as well as anyone. Food sustainability, how we handle waste, both solid waste, recyclables. Do we have, people recycle more if it's unicycle, you don't have to separate. So having a uniform stream of recycling, making sure the bins are in every location and are picked up. Food sustainability and the kinds of food we serve on campus. Sorry about the Pizza Hut. And do I eat pepperoni pizza? Yes, but as it shows. But these are all important issues. There's many different aspects. And an equally important part is teaching and research so that our students understand sustainability and understand the interplay. One of the interesting things, when people talk about biofuels sometimes, there's some very interesting studies around, if you grow corn instead and you use that as a biofuel, and then the kinds of gasoline you use to grow the corn, till the soil, do all those kind of things. I used to live in Iowa, so I know some of this stuff. And many times when you dig deeply, you find out that some of the ways we do things are actually negatives. So we really need more research. I will tell you that we have a sustainability council, and I invite you to come. I'm told that those are the most attended meetings we have on campus. But we also have people talking about a sustainability curriculum that expands over the whole campus as an interdisciplinary. And we ran last year, and my predecessor, Virginia Hinshaw, started a sustainability cluster hire. So we're bringing faculty in who will work on these kinds of local problems in addition to being in their traditional faculty roles. So we're working on it, but we need people like you who are really passionate about it to be part of the discussion. And I'm getting a sign that we have to end. One more question and then thank you.
Okay, sorry, it's me again. I just have one question. I don't really know much about it, so I was kind of hoping maybe someone else would have brought it up, but no one did. It's something a lot of the students are kind of in the dark about, I guess, and it's this whole Stevie Wonder thing that's going on. As far as a lot of students are concerned, they don't know what's going on. They just know that there was a lot of money that was gone, lost somehow. What I want to know, if you can maybe explain in the next 5 minutes, is why it happened, who is responsible, will anybody be held accountable, and will we get that money back?
So I'll tell you, my overarching goal is to get this behind us. So we do so many great things here, and this has dominated the media. And I just want to give people a perspective. And by the way, $200,000 is not a trivial amount of money. But we are a 1 billion, Manoa, just Manoa, not the university. And Manoa is a $1 billion operation. I have people who report to me who handle $180 million a year. And they say, you know what? If somebody looked, you'd probably find just through the handling of that much money, if you went and looked at every individual thing, you could probably find that much in terms of just losses here and there through kinds of processes. It's a tiny part of what we do. And it has overshadowed so tremendously by a factor of 1,000 the great stories that should be coming out of the university. So we did get a little bit of ink about, oh, by the way, we discovered the BAP1 gene here that looks like it'll help us cure mesothelioma and 5 other cancers. Oh yes, our medical school is helping the homeless in giving them care, and our law school goes and provides free legal advice to to people who can't afford it. And our school of social work and our school of education are on every island helping people. Those are the stories that should be in the paper. So this $200,000, I'll just give you, it was people trying to do the right thing, trying to generate some money, because we have, quite frankly, and nobody likes to hear this, we have an underfunded athletic department. It gets a smaller percentage of funds from the university than just about any other athletic department, so they're basically carrying out the equivalent of an academic bake sale. And it went awry. And you know what? Let's get it behind us and move on. Imua. And so, but thanks for asking. I'm sorry we have to end, but we will now have more of these. I want to have fora. And that's actually, it's interesting you mentioned that, because that's one of my pet peeves when people say curriculums. But we will have more of these. I want to have many of these conversations. I'd like to have another one sometime around Thanksgiving. So it'll give us about 4 or 5 weeks to start mulling over some of these, form some working groups. But I want us to move these issues forward. I don't want this to just be a conversation. I want some real outcomes so we can move the issues forward. We're held accountable. I'll have some of my other people come here, and we'll see how we can progress on each of these throughout the year. So thank you for being here. Thank you for your caring, and help us move forward. Let's have these conversations. Thank you.